wish I could find a good book to live in. Wish I could find a good book.
Today we have independent publisher Benjamin Briggs of Gold Grizzly Publications in the KRUA studios. He's brought an author as well, a Dante Kuhn. Briggs' visit to the studios marks the beginning of our new KRUA segment, Arctic Authors. Today, with the help of Briggs and Dante, we're going to read a few passages, we're going to discuss the ropes of independent publishing, and then later on, tips for college writers trying to cut their teeth. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I was wondering if you could each explain the plot about the book you brought in.
I brought in Spiritual Warfare. This will be my 6th book under Gold Grizzly Publications. The plot of this book is about balance. A lot of people get spiritual warfare confused with religion, and thus they have no understanding of the balance in their lives.
Could you read us a passage?
Yes, I can. In this scene, the Archangel Michael is talking to a protector class angel, which is Mordecai. And Mordecai is trying to figure out why evil has such an unfair advantage in our material world. So, is it unfair? Michael asked. I will explain this to you once. It is one of the great mysteries of Jehovah. I will tell you this, hoping that you will dissect this information with an open mind. Jehovah is the Most High. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, verse 7, Jehovah delivered this edict to Isaiah, stating that he created evil as well as good. Thus, evil is one of the fundamental forces of creation, evident in both the microcosm of the world and the microcosm of each man's soul. As pandemonium gave rise to possibility and imagination in man, so inequity engendered strength and will in man. It made material beings aspire to wealth and power. It enabled them to overpower, kill, rob, and lie. It allowed them to do whatever was required to better themselves with never a crippling flicker of remorse.
And as well as I understand, Mr. Dante is also bringing a very heavy subject to the KRUA microphone. Can you tell me what your book is about, please?
My book is inspired by my professor, John Steiner, who survived Dachau. And he earned his Ph.D. Actually interviewing SS officers. And one of the things that he put forth was this idea of a language of savages, that fascism crosses cultures, races, and people. And each generation has to deal with a new level of fascist. In my book, I examine fascism and the 6 basic fallacies that all fascists use, whether it's Pol Pot, Idi Amin, Mussolini, Tojo, Hitler. And with the rise of new fascism now, I become a fascist for the first 7 chapters of the book. And I look at the West through the eyes of a fascist. And then I talk about why fascism is basically just a false construct. And I'd like to read the part of my book where I talk about how we're all connected. We are not defined by the place of our birth, for that is a sure and certain impossibility, as we are all far too complex for that definition. We, as a people, are an ancient and timeless creation, born of an ancient and timeless cosmos. And as children of the never-ending cosmos, we are universe travelers. We are living stardust, created from comet debris, meteor impacts, and once dead stars, who now live again through our beingness with the All. We are universal miracles, and as such, we are inseparable from our source, every one of us, and we have forgotten this magical reality. We must remember, for this sacred truth can save us all.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have to ask, mostly for people who are trying to become writers, where do you find the bravery or the courage to put forth determination to write down books?
There's one simple aspect of writing that it defies courage even. It's the will to want to create something timeless. And writing poetry, whether it be letters to your family, whether, whatever kind of writing you're doing, what it takes is discipline. And you will encounter a lot of people who have authors in them, but they don't have the discipline to write. Writing requires that you take about 2 hours out of your day. You turn off your cell phones, you don't answer the door, and you just write.
Dante, the same question.
I wrote my book in 5 months, working 10 and 12 hours a day as a counselor. And I was just pushed to do it because the message, I feel, is so important.
Mr. Briggs, besides being an author, you also have started your own publishing company, Gold Grizzly Publications. Could you tell me how that got started?
It's a pretty standard story. I wrote my first book, Inertia, Treachery in Alaska. It was a street novel on poor decision-making. I wrote the second book, Karma, and the first book I actually published through a vanity publishing house, and I'm no longer receiving royalties for it. Then I wrote a book called Karma, which was part 2 to Inertia, and I signed on with a big traditional publishing house. And the process of getting the book published took about 2 years. 2 months before the book was to hit the shelves, they canceled my contract and let me keep the royalty money. So I thought to myself, well, I already know the disappointing side of it, so I might as well do it myself. Well, I started Gold Grizzly Publications because of those incidents, and from here, it's just been a whole other set of situations that I have to deal with, but they're mine to deal with.
So, Mr. Dante, or Mr. Kuhn, first name Dante, could you tell me your experience with Gold Grizzly Publications?
It's been awesome. I submitted my book originally to a traditional publishing company, and they told me they were worried that they were going to get attacked and their offices were going to get blown up. So basically, I spoke to Benny about it, and we're both vets. And he basically had the stones to publish it. And that's pretty much been my experience. He likes to publish things that speak to truth, you know.
So, Mr. Briggs and Kuhn, our time is almost up, but I want to ask, for our college writers out there trying to cut their teeth, do you have any tips you'd want to give to anyone about writing?
Write what you love, write what you know, and apply it.
For my advice to any college writer would be to write the book. You know, get your priorities in order, just like you're studying for a test. Sit down, spend about 2 hours writing, not editing, not going over your work. Just spend 2 hours just writing whatever comes out of you, and then you'll have an opportunity after you get the book written to publish, because the real work doesn't start until after you write the book.
And I believe you mentioned you have some sites you'd like our listeners to possibly check out.
Yes, www.goldgrizzlypublications.net is the website. For college writers, for any writers, you can go there, look through the site, surf the site, and then find writing tips, which will link you to Gold Grizzly Publications' YouTube account, which I have maybe 6 or 7 videos on how to write, tips for writing. Also, Dante, Kuhn, and I will be down at Juneteenth. June 19th, we'll have books on sale.
For those just tuning in, you are listening to KRUA's new segment, Arctic Authors. Our guests today were publisher and author Benjamin Briggs and author Dante Kuhn. If you enjoyed listening to the passages, Benjamin Briggs read from his novel Spiritual Warfare, and Dante Kuhn read from his novel The Land of Whores and Honey. Briggs and Kuhn are currently joining their creative forces together to co-write a book called Male Awareness. This novel will focus on how men can find their identity and retain it while in a relationship. I'm Anna Lande for KRUA News.
I'd never have to come out and